Welcome back everyone to yet another solo Pokemon challenge video. This week we have another starter. This is Charmander, and this is one that I'm very excited about. This is the one that I'm probably also the most prepared for. I definitely have played through all of these games with all of these original starters, right? But at the end of the day, Charmander was what I was using 9 out of 10 times. Charmander was my day one selection. When my mom got the Pokemon Red with me, she took me to the store. We stood in line. I picked it up. I took it back home, popped it in. Charmander was the first thing that I got. I remember reading the strategy guide that had come out and had hit the shelves before the game had. So I'd read up on a bunch of these guys. Still didn't quite understand all the mechanics, but I did know going into it that Charmander was the one for me. And that is why I think I'm going to be very prepared for this. It's been a while since I've played through this generation, but I instantly beat the first rival. I do a little bit of training and I got myself up to level 9, which I showed that level up. And then without even healing, I just instantly go over and I fight the rival again. I don't necessarily think that either of the teams that he could potentially go up against me with at this point, since I did beat him in the lab. I don't think either one of them is going to give me any kind of trouble, so I just go for it. I could use the experience. Of course, fighting him at this stage, he's getting a lot of accuracy debuffs against me. That obviously makes it very difficult, but we do pull through and we level up to level 10. Then we go to Viridian Forest and we train against all the bug trainers because, of course, they're weak to me, right? Get all the experience that you can leading up to Pewter City Gym. As a kid, I remember thinking that obviously Brock was somewhat hard with Charmander because if I was using Scratch, it wasn't doing much damage. As a very young kid, it was a little difficult at times to understand all of the typings, or at least remembering them. I did have the strategy guide. I think it probably would have helped more than you would think. I also obviously knew how to read, so I don't know exactly where the comprehension issue was coming in. But again, I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt. I was under the age of 10. But now I'm in my 30s, so I am prepared to fight him at this age much more than I was back then. And so therefore I go against Brock at level 14. Geodude's not really a problem. Onyx could have been an issue, but we make through pretty quickly. We use Leer if he uses Bide, Ember for the rest of the time, and we make it through. Speaking of making it through, there is no issue getting through the next route all the way to Mount Moon. So we make quick work of all of the Team Rocket members in the cave itself, pick up Mega Punch to add to the move pool. It won't be here for long, mostly because of the accuracy, but considering Charmander doesn't have anything that's really effective against most people for a hot minute here, we need something to do a little bit more damage until we can find something that's a little stronger for us. Team Rocket trio, not an issue. We make it to Cerulean. I am not going to go up against Misty. I'm not out of my mind. Charmander's not ready for that smoke at level 21. So we go up against the rival, and at 21, he's not necessarily crazy. Oh, sorry, 22. He just evolved as I said that. But at 22, he's not necessarily crazy over-leveled, but he certainly is able to make pretty quick work of this rival team here at Nugget Bridge. And on the topic of Nugget Bridge, between Nugget Bridge and the rest of the route leading up to Bill, I fight every single optional trainer. Probably not necessary, but what is necessary is I need to go up against the rocket guy that has Dig, and I go up against a couple extra trainers south of Cerulean just to be prepared because I want to go up against this Misty fight ready to go. Charmander is fairly over-leveled at this point. Level 29 makes quick work of Staryu, and then Starmie is going to be an issue. Starmie hits pretty heavy. Oh boy. That is our first reset of the run. That is not great. 2 hit by Starmie is not how I want it to be, but there's a part of me that thinks surely I can just get either more lucky or maybe I just didn't do it the right way, but I run it the exact same way, and with that, she adds the X defend to really waste her turn, and Charmander ends up making quick work without taking a single hit. And because we have gotten rid of all the trainers between Cerulean and Vermilion, it's easy to just go straight over to SSAN. We also go straight to the TM8 to get Body Slam for Charmander. This is one of those moves that's going to make an appearance a lot throughout the channel, or at least through this challenge for this game. It's a good move, and it's very helpful for a lot of things, including this rival fight. You're going to see me use it for a majority of it. You can see the relevancy to this move. That being said, I don't want to try to repeat the same things over and over again. Although, of course, with a generation like this, there's fewer moves to use and fewer strategies to use. And so you might see some things get a little repetitive, but I'm going to do my best to try new things. Even if they end up taking more time, I want to try and keep it fresh and just sort of see what we can get done here. But in this instance, I am going to go straight from SS Ann to Surge, and before I could even finish telling you that, I've already defeated him. I didn't heal, I didn't do anything. Surge is just not good. But what is good is my time here. Now, yes, of course, there are people who are going to be much faster than I am to get to this section. I am by no means necessarily a speed runner. I would like to see how fast I can get at some of these, but I'm fairly certain that there's always going to be people pulling in much better numbers than I am. I just want to find out my personal best, not the best that's out there. I'm here to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I want to challenge myself. I want to do things that are interesting and new, but I'm also not trying to reinvent the wheel or overly stress myself. I just want to do something that lets me experience these things that are a part of my childhood and have meant so much to me over the years in a new way that keeps it fresh and keeps people and myself coming back to it every time. Like I said earlier, I'm going to try not to do the exact same strategies over and over and over again, even if it means that the run might suffer time-wise or something. I just want to see what happens. You know, I think there's a lot of very fun things that we can kind of get into, and that's the main thing that I'm looking for in 2025 especially, is some fun. What was not fun for me as a kid was Rock Cave, so this is kind of a perfect time to get into that sort of line of thinking. I really struggled with it. You know, the Game Boy was not backlit the way that a computer screen is. So I really couldn't see the boundaries and the lines and everything like that of this cave. And I didn't really know how to find Flash at first either. So getting through that cave was very difficult as a kid, but as an adult, easy peasy, man. I know that cave like the back of my hand at this point. I know really most of this game like the back of my hand. It's very easy to get to Team Rocket very quickly, get through their HQ. I know how to avoid most of the fights that I don't want to get into. Some of them I'm still going to do anyway, just for a little bit of experience and some damage points effectively against their head boss, because he is going to be a little bit of a problem for Charmander. There's a lot of ground type moves. Not immediately. He's not going to be a problem here. But further down the line, we need to be prepared for that Giovanni. So we're preparing for him and for a couple other things here. I'm showing this fight because in that last moment there, I leveled up to level 38 and got the move Flamethrower. Flamethrower is going to take us pretty far in this run. It's, of course, one of the stronger moves that Charmander knows. So we're going to have it, and it's going to be a pretty big thing for us. What's also pretty big is how quickly we are going to make it through the trio. They are and have never been, and will most likely continue to be, at least for Charmander, not an issue. But I'm showing it as always because it's always fun for me to see the Team Rocket blasting off again. What is also going to blast off is this fight against Giovanni. Now, Onyx is currently, I would say, the only person that really feels to be any danger to Charmander. Rhyhorn is, you know, a beefy guy, but he just has Horn Attack. Not really all that scary. Persian, not all that scary, and so therefore Giovanni 1 is done. And the big reason why we got Flamethrower there is because we're going to get some easy experience points running through all of the trainers at Erica's gym. They are not hard at all. I mean, Flamethrower, of course, makes that easier, but in one of those fights, I got poisoned, and I didn't even care. I lost 2 points of damage moving between the two trainers, and then I go through and I absolutely sweep Erica. Speaking of sweeping, we're going to go straight over to Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town, where we are going to face off against Rival 4. not really an issue at all. At level 25 and I'm 42, it's not really an even match. Shelder is probably the Pokemon that stands the most chance to do any kind of damage to me, but of course, that's not really an issue at the end of the day. I make it through him pretty quickly. We go through Vulpix. Sandshrew is a quick fix with Dig, and Dig also works very well against Eevee. So now I get to go face the rest of Pokemon Tower. I was talking earlier about getting some experience and being ready for the back end of this game, which technically I suppose we are now in, but we're going to start using Dig against every single one of these trainers and their Pokemon. This is also good practice for going up against Agatha. They're going to have the same exact issue. One of the benefits here is that there's no Levitate like you would get in abilities in future generations. They are Ghost, but Poison as well, which means that ground type moves are going to be very effective against them. That's probably the only thing that kind of keeps them somewhat level in these games. I feel like Ghosts could have really run away with it in Gen 1 had they not had that sort of typing. But of course, there was also that glitch that really didn't make them that effective against Psychic at all. So therefore, they were kind of grounded to begin with. Grounded. I actually did not mean to do that one. That was just sort of pure happenstance. We make it through Lavender Tower. We get the Poke Flute. We defeated Team Rocket Trio again. And here we are at Safari Zone. We're going to go ahead and get Surf. That's going to be crucial. We're going to catch a Doduo. We've already got the HM for Fly, and we're going to go right on over to Koga's gym. I have fought all but I think 2 of the trainers here. I probably could have done a little bit more leveling, but it's not going to be that hard, I don't think, because in Yellow, his team is very different. He doesn't really actually have a poison gym. At the end of the day, it's really just kind of a bug gym. And there's no, I mean, there's psychic moves, but he's just not a danger. He's not really a threat, at least not to Charmander, someone who can run right through a bug team. So Flamethrower once again comes in clutch. I go over to Silphco. I've done a couple little things like pick up some items, but I've fought very few people, in fact. And I'm going to start using Swords Dance, something that I picked up on the 7th floor. It's one of the big things that we're going to use for setups throughout the rest of this game. The same way that we did with Bulbasaur, it's going to be crucial for Charmander's situation. Here, we have a kind of bad time, though. This is the first time where we're really getting set up in a different way by our rival. The 4 inaccuracy levels is pretty rough. It's going to make it very difficult to just sort of mash through this fight. I'm just basically mashing the A button as often as I can, just trying to get through every single one of these guys. But of course, not being able to hit them and continuously taking damage is going to give us our next reset. The second that I saw, honestly, 2 accuracy debuffs, I probably should have just gone ahead and hit the reset, but I'm a little stubborn, I'll admit it. Sometimes I think, it can't affect me that much, right? One thing I have noticed is, and maybe it's just always a personal feeling, it probably is not accurate or very true, but I always feel like when I have an inaccurate move, it misses all the time. Or if I've been debuffed, I miss all the time. But if the enemy has a move that isn't a perfect 100%, they're going to hit it almost every single time. It's just sort of how it goes, isn't it? But either way, this time we take no debuffs, and so therefore we just run right through the whole team. He's very close to having his final setup. He's going to get more and more difficult, obviously. I think, obviously, that's also the point of these guys, right? But we pick up a Lapras. That's going to be huge for us. That's going to be our Surf HM user. Almost said TM. That was close. That was close. What's not going to be close, though? This fight with the trio. As always, Team Rocket, not very good. Whether it's in the game or in the anime, they don't stand a chance against the main protagonist. Blasting off the speed of light again, and sayonara. Next up is Giovanni 2. Okay, now this is where things start to get interesting, right? Onyx is gone. That's a pretty interesting move on his part. He's going to have this Nidorino. He does already have Nidoqueen. Rhyhorn's still not that scary. He only has Horn Attack and Stomp. The reason why Onyx was so scary was he had Rock Throw. But here, there's nothing really that's going to do us much damage, so even with this first setup, he's not that bad. But what is bad is the floors at Cinnabar Island, which is why I always will skip Pokemon Mansion. I don't want you to have to deal with that. What I also kind of wish you didn't have to deal with is watching any of the Blaine footage, because as you can see here, I'm just going to use Dig 3 times in a row. And 3 times in a row, I'm going to get a one-hit KO. Unintentional rhyme. But he is done. So I go to Viridian and the gym door's locked. I forgot to fight Sabrina. Okay, well, this is different than the Koga thing where I just somehow forgot to show you the footage. This was just straight up, I forgot to fight her. I was in her town to fight everything at Sylph. Just fully forgot to go up to the gym. Oops. Well, either way, Charmander at level 56 does have a little bit of a fight to sort of get through here. Alakazam is a little bit of an issue. Alakazam's got a lot of damage that they could do, but mostly just spams Reflect, and so therefore ends up having it be just Kadabra that does any damage. We didn't have any resets, which I feel like we could have, so very lucky. We then go back to Viridian and we fight through the 2 trainers that we have to fight. There's only 2 people that you must get through in order to get to Giovanni. I am going to skip basically every single person in this gym. I maybe could have used this experience, but I'm looking at the time and realizing I've got a potential to do this in under 2 hours. And even if I'm not trying to speed run, it would be pretty cool to instantly beat my last record, or my first record, and also to prove that I'm much better at Charmander than I am with anything else in this game. So we go through and we are going to attack Giovanni head on at level 57. And here he is with his team, this time with 5 people. Now, him having Dugtrio first and foremost is immediately a problem. Dig is the only way to go into the situation. Persian is a good opportunity for me to set up a little bit, although with the evasion, it's going to be harder to hit. I probably could have gone ahead and set up one more time, but as you can see, Fury Swipes can actually do a lot of damage if they get a bunch of hits in there. We're now going to go up against Nidoqueen. Dig takes care of it. Earthquake luckily misses in Gen 1 if you're underground. Of course, in the future, that would not be the case. But Dig ends up letting us get through the final 3 people who could easily just run right through Charmander, and we get the 8th and final badge. But here we go. We step out the door, we heal up, we start heading towards Victory Road, and wouldn't you know it, it is the 6th rival team. This guy just keeps on showing up. I make a bold choice here to start setting up with Sandslash. Sandslash doesn't really know much that's dangerous here, and I think that is a little bit of a misdirect. I think that it's sort of made to let you think that Sandslash could be easier as his starting Pokemon in the next battle, but of course, he is going to be a major threat, at least to someone like Charmander. Another big threat is Cloyster, and that is obviously very apparent here as I take my 3rd reset. That's a tough one. I'm going to immediately go back right into it. I'm not going to change a single thing. I'm just going to go for it. I do think that there's a way to get through this. I don't need to do any extra training. I don't need to use any rare candies. I'm going to save those for fixing my level threshold in the future, just so I don't level up in the middle of fights if I can avoid it, so that I don't mess up my badge boost stats. And of course, so far I do think that I am correct for this. Execute, not hard. Ninetales, not hard. Cloyster, still going to be a challenge, but with all of this setup, with Swords Dance, I can clear it pretty quickly with Flamethrower of all things. Then Jolteon is fast, but Dig is stronger, and therefore I defeat the rival and go on to Victory Road. At Victory Road, I pick up one last rare candy, and then I try my best to avoid most fights. I go up against this male Cool Trainer. I had in my mind flip-flopped him and the female Cool Trainer, who's right next to him. She has 3 grass types, he has 3 water types. I don't know why I then fight him and then blow right past her. That would have been good experience and would have saved me a little bit of time, technically, in the next few minutes here. But I go up against this juggler, thinking that it's going to help me out a lot with some experience points that I'm going to need to get one more little level in. And unfortunately, it's just a little shy of what I need. So instead of fighting that female trainer like I was mentioning earlier, I do have to do just a little bit of training up against, I think, 3 different Geodudes. That takes me to the final little bit of the level. Could have saved a little time, but either way, doesn't matter. Here I am at the Elite Four. I have dropped off my HM users, and I'm going up against Lorelei. Either way, I don't really mind. I've heard it said both ways. I guess it's a regional thing. I really don't know. But either way, that's who she is. First person in the Elite Four, going up against her. This first time, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and reveal that this is not going to be a great fight. She hit me pretty hard. At level 62, I'm not doing a lot of damage, or at least not as much damage as I would like to. I'm fairly leveled above her. Not quite a full 10, but I'm close to it. And she's making pretty good work of my one little guy. My poor little son, he's doing his best. He, of course, stands the best chance against Jinx. But going up against Lapras, yeah, doesn't have enough damage, and she gets me. So it's another reset. We are now past 1 hour and a half. I think it's doable to get it in the next 10 minutes. So we're going up against her. We are going to set up as much as we can. She is supposed to always use rest on the second turn. I have found that it's not a perfect system, but most of the time it is true. So I use that opportunity to set up. Knowing this knowledge ahead of time, it lets me get in some big hits against all the rest of the team. Cloyster being pretty difficult still, but the problem is still Lapras. With just a sliver of health, it's able to take me down. Okay, so let's try it one more time. I'm not going to change really anything. I think it's a little bit more of a luck situation. I do think, obviously, if I'm a little bit more leveled up, I probably do clear a little bit quicker. But I still want to hold on to some of these levels just in case. I know that there's no real benefit of holding on to all of them until the end, because obviously once I get to the champion, it won't matter anymore after that. So I probably could have used more here, but I'd like to see how low I can get Charmander through as well. So we're just going to stick with a 2, and this time it works out. It would seem that the damage range was in my favor. What's also going to be in my favor is going up against Bruno, who is really not a challenge whatsoever. I am sure there will be a couple people that will be a surprise to me as to who struggles against him, but at the very least with the starters, it's going to be a non-issue. He comes out with Onyx, who I use to set up. Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan go down very quickly. This Onyx does withstand my attack, which is a little interesting, but he, of course, uses an X item, which doesn't really make any sense. I burn Machamp, and also he doesn't take me out, so he's done. Next up, Agatha. Agatha, we talked about a little bit earlier about how she can be a little bit of a pain in the neck, and she does come out swinging in a very odd way. This is not really how I remember a lot of these fights with her going. She hits me with a couple moves back to back, not quite in the way that I'm expecting. She gets the paralyzed, then she goes with a substitute. I'm getting fully paralyzed frequently, which is not ideal, obviously. You want to be hitting, you want to be doing some damage. I keep breaking the substitute, but it's not enough to then break the substitute and not be paralyzed. So I keep sort of ending up in these situations where it takes forever to take out that first Gengar. The Golbat comes out, I keep getting paralyzed. I get a body slam in, it's taken care of. Now we have a Haunter. The Haunter's not too bad because, again, Dig is going to do some work. We've got Arbok. Dig makes good work of him. Now we have the level 60 Gengar, and oh my god. I don't really know if we deserved that one, but just like I say when I'm watching football, a win is a win. Now, what's going to be difficult here is Gyarados. This is one of the fights that I have been looking forward to the absolute least. Now, we make it past Gyarados a little bit faster than I'm expecting here. Honestly, I paused and thought about this for a hot second because I wasn't expecting to get past him, but I'm also making it past him with a lot less health than I'm kind of hoping for. So I had to sort of think about this plan, but of course it doesn't matter because Aerodactyl takes us out. Setting up twice with Swords Dance is not enough. I need a perfect run here. I need to get a Body Slam, paralyze it, have Hydro Pump both miss, and or have him be paralyzed, and unfortunately, no, I don't get it. So another reset, and we're back against Gyarados. We do the Body Slam. Okay, we get the Paralyze. Oh, okay, hang on. He is fully paralyzed twice. Then the Hydro Pump misses. We have set up twice. Like I said, it's not enough, but we're going to do it one more time, and I'm lucky that he uses Thunderbolt instead of Thunder Wave. That would change a lot, but we get the lucky move there. So therefore, Dragonairs go down easily. Aerodactyl gets a retroactive potion, which is not how that really works, but either way, he gets paralyzed, which definitely guarantees that I get to hit first. He's done for. Dragonite comes out, Body Slam takes him to half, another one takes him fully out. Holy what? I cannot believe how we got through that. That took us so many less tries than I was expecting. But then there's the final rival. And Sandslash is now the problem that I promised he would be. Just like the Gyarados, I'm going to need a perfect hit. I'm going to need some perfect moves and situations, and Earthquake's doing too much damage. I have used some rare candies. I still have one left over. I don't know why I don't use it. It doesn't make any sense to hold on to it, but I have. I use it once here in this reset. I also decide to not change over to Double Edge. Taking the recoil is too big of a risk, and it doesn't paralyze him. Unfortunately, that doesn't work still. However, I tried for something different, because I was setting up against Sandslash, but Sandslash does so much damage to me. So why would I do that? So I put Fire Blast on instead of Flamethrower. Like I said, Flamethrower was going to take us most of the way. It got us all the way to the final battle. But this time, Fire Blast, it doesn't matter if it's not super effective against him. It's going to take Sandslash out, and now I get an opportunity to set up against the Alakazam. I'm running the risk of him using Kinesis, but he doesn't. So I set up twice, I take him out, then I take out Exeggutor, and now Fire Blast is also going to be strong enough to take out Cloyster. Our major concerns are now done. I dig the Ninetales. Jolteon once again goes for the quick attack. He's fast, but he's not strong enough. And Dig takes him out, and therefore, but is no more. The champion has been bested at an hour 46 and 44. This is proving to me that I am already getting faster and better. I'm finding easier ways to get to where I need to be. Charmander finishes the whole thing at level 71, which does mean that at some point I'm going to have to come back and do Charmander again. I'm going to have to do Bulbasaur again. I'm probably going to have to do Squirtle again too. I haven't even done him yet, but it does make me aware that I'm going to have to redo some of my very first runs a couple of times, I imagine. But hey, who's to complain? It's extra times playing the game and more content for you. I love making content so much, and so I'm looking forward to doing this challenge a lot more this year, and any other kind of challenge that you all might be interested in. Hit me up in the comments if there's anything you've got in mind, and I'll take a look at it. But until then, I will see you all next week with our final starter, Squirtle.